a special came out on Friday.
Right.
Panicked.
Mm-hmm.
It's I know this is the like. I'm not kidding when I say I think it's the funniest special you've ever done.
Oh, thanks, man.
And it's the most kind of like wide ranging. In a lot of ways.
In there.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Something for everybody. I think.
There's also stuff that it feels like it's a little bit outside of like that whole Sarge thing.
Dude.
But it's like you doing that. You're like playing two scenes at the same time. It just feels like you're the new tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, it kind of was. I don't. That thing is kind of a marvel to me, and because I really couldn't explain it to myself. Like I don't know where that character came from, the Sarge guy, but it came somewhere on stage, and I was so excited about it because to me it is like it was delivered from somewhere, and it didn't have to make sense.
Yeah.
But then framing him as like the anti-woke guy, I was like, this is it, man. This is like the broken dude, who's incapable of processing it. Yeah. So just doubles down on it, like, in all his fucking aggravated pain and goes for the laugh. And I just, because of my audience, I mean, knowing where that thing went, there's 3 jokes as a Sarge. And it gets pretty gnarly. Yeah. And it's basically about rape, right?
Yeah, about child.
Yeah, trauma, sexual abuse.
Yeah,
on his being. And I was like, maybe I'll just do the first one. The one that's kind of framed funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That is, it doesn't give him any depth. Do you know what I mean? It's just a caricature.
Yes, yeah.
And then I had the other 2 where it's sort of like,
you're getting a sense of who this guy.
Well, it's sad.
Yeah,
and it's disturbing.
Yeah,
and Lipsight was like, because I was like, maybe let's just do the one just so I don't push him away because that 3rd joke is like nasty.
Yeah,
and he's like, dude, you got to do it.
Yeah,
you got to go all the way.
I can just say, I don't think I've ever seen Julia laugh as much as she was laughing during the Sarge thing. It was like she was just like lost to the material. It was.
That's what you want.
Yeah, it was the greatest.
And there was also part of me that was sort of like, fuck these pseudo hack edgelords.
No, it's look, I'm not going to go click farming here with you.
Yeah.
But it is just. It is such a weird.
You mean
time.
The piece that's going to come out that says "fuck these pseudo hack edgelords"?
Yeah, well, just they can.
Your guys clip that
AI to fill that out.
Yeah.
It's just like what a weird. Like it like all of these factors kind of all converged, and it just like. It's like the darkest timeline became the timeline. Like all the possibilities. It's like, oh no. This plus this plus this plus this. We're actually here now.
Yeah.
And these are like the voices of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you have people where they're like, it's not enough for them to just be funny anymore. They like want to do the dumbest version of Meet the Press is really what they're trying to do. They're like, why is that appealing? I truly, in my heart of hearts, do not know why that's more appealing outside of just whatever the financial grift is. From a creative standpoint, it's nothing compared to just being funny. And you can make points and be funny, obviously. I'm not saying sanitize everything. You can have a specific point of view. You can chase that down. But like on the checklist of priorities, it's like be funny is like 4th on the list now.
Well, now, and also it's because they've sort of assumed the helm of, relevant commentary and information. So they kind of, that is what feeds their grift. And God knows the spectrum of pseudoscience and conspiracy bullshit and right-wing talking points that they take out of context because they're dumb.
Yeah.
There's no end to it. But there's that thing, and then there's that thing I always say about who knew we'd end up here, where I flip through my reels, and it's just like one after another of like 2 to 4 white guys behind mics talking about the first time they shit their pants as grown-ups. It's just like medium good afternoon drive time shit.
Yeah. If you're aware of the history of just radio and
Sure,
talk radio and whatever you want to call it, just like morning zoo kind of personality driven, it's like that was the lowest tier of entertainment that was imaginable.
But a lot of them fall short of that.
Well, they're not even hit, because at least those guys are professional. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Lisa DJ who goes on, he's hitting the thing he can make a point in 45 seconds and
live
then he
radio,
plays a record and then hits the post and you're listening to songs now. These guys they're rambly and off target and they're not funny while doing it.
And I like a good morning zoo as a comic. If if you show up at 6:30.
Yeah,
and they've got their thing on when they're on, and all the gears are clicking.
Yeah,
you got the straight man, you got the goofball, you got the laughing lady.
Yeah,
maybe another goofball.
Yeah,
and the weather guy that chimes in occasionally.
Yeah.
If they're all going, and I can walk into that, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm game.
Yeah.
I like to do that.
Like they'll create a lane for you to do your thing.
They want you to. And their biggest nightmare is you're going to come in there and shit the bed.
Yeah.
Because there was a period there where morning zoo guys were wary of comics because, comics waking up at 6 to do anything.
Yeah.
It's that's a 50-50 proposition.
Yeah. I mean, you're being generous by saying they woke up at 6 and then
they might have been up all night.
Yeah, they're still awake.
But they get in there and even big names and they're just trying to get, activity out of a lump. And these guys are just they're not even showing up for it,
Yeah.
So they were sort of like, well, yeah, so and so in here, and I'm like, all right, I like doing this.
Yeah.
I remember there was a guy, Dan Whitney, who went on to become Larry the Cable Guy. I don't remember where I saw it, or why. We were at the same hotel or something. But I remember him it was like late at night, or it was definitely hadn't become morning yet. But he was on a payphone outside, within the hotel structure, doing it for a gig in the future, somewhere where the time was different. But he was jamming on that phone, and I'm like, that's fucking pro shit.
Yeah. Look, that guy. This is going to be. I think that guy's. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, I remember when he was Dan Whitney, and then well, that's a guy that on some level, talking about politics was always sort of part of my thing, and I've certainly done plenty of stuff that wasn't funny but it's personally driven opinion, and usually I can find a way to funny or just let it sit.
Yeah.
But it's always been part of what I do, most of my career. But I think there was something when a lot of these guys decided well, I'm gonna talk about who I am politically. It's I don't know if we need that.
No, I mean, and he does that character. And it's corny. Yeah. He knows it's corny when he's. You think he's behind the curve on what Larry the Cable Guy is? Yeah. It's like he knows it's a goof.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah, he's putting on a thing. He's telling some dad jokes, and he'll stick some funnier ones in there amongst the ones that'll keep everybody happy.
There's always been a comedy's always been that place.
Yeah,
there's always those guys are always here. They're always here.
I mean, it's like just think about Foster Brooks, the idea of a guy who's just I just want to just a drunk. He'd just be like, blah, blah, blah. He'd always be like, I just want to brush. And
it's so
that
funny.
was it.
It was so funny though.
That was it. It was really funny. It was a guy who he'd be on the Dean Martin roasts. He was a go-to. And he was fake drunk, and that was it.
It was
That's
so good.
all
it was
you
so
got.
Funny though.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever watched those Friar roasts that weren't the Dean Martin ones, but they're where it's just an inside thing with the Friars, and they always had Henny Youngman there, just because he was in the building. I think
they just want some soup.
Well, yeah, but they always throw him on, and no matter who was on being roasted, he would just do his act, and they were all laughing at that fact, and I knew it as a comic that they all knew it's like. And he's going to come on and just do his act.
It just doesn't matter who
He doesn't even talk to him.
Yeah. No, that is... Yeah, but there was just that level of just like, hey, it's show business.
Yeah. And I got no beef with any of that. I loved a lot of those guys. I really did. And I was always sort of envious of guys who like had a character.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how do you even do that? Like, I'm hopelessly me. I think that my journey just to getting to myself, like, this is the character. It took me a long time to come into it.
But it's like it's like this weird, like, it
was just this
it's like
furious...
twins. They were like twins. You were you, and as just you off stage, you in real life. And then there's you in real life. And both of you were trying to figure each other out.
That's right. But early on, it was just this ball of furious insecurity and anger.
Oh, look, I was there. Some of the shows you did at Luna Lounge at Eating It, the Monday night
must
show.
Have been scary.
It was. Sometimes it honestly was, because you would go and you'd be like, I just signed an overall deal today. And you're just like, and then just like, 6 weeks later, it's like, I think that overall deal probably doesn't working out. He's so mad tonight. Like, there was one that you're happy. It's like, well, Mark, good for Mark. He's got a thing going on. And then there's just the one where you're just like, I don't know what. And they're just like, oh no.
Just walking over there and just honoring the format. I remember walking to Luna and just like when it became popular, I'm like, no, fuck. It's a line out the door. And I'm like, and I got to do new shit. God damn. And it was... Oh my God, it was crazy. I had no idea what show business was, nor did I seem to care.
What were points where you learned more about what show business was? Because you're doing you're existing within it now, even though you're yourself. It's not like you're this square peg in a round hole.
Kind of. It's weird where two things happened early in my career when I was in Boston starting out. It was actually around the same time. It was the old Stitches, and it was like around the time Rogan started too. Like there was a couple of jocks that entered the landscape, and us uncomfortable guys were like, "Well, this is not for them."
Yeah.
But
were you ever worried to use the stool after he used it? Like if the stool was on
be
stage?
dirty?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Can I get a new stool up here?
He wasn't the only stool fucker.
Those poor stools.
Yeah, and the mics too. Sometimes I got on stage at the comedy store. I'm like, what happened to this fucking mic? Yeah. Like it's all dented and shitty. And I'm like, we need two things to do our job. How is this so fucked up? It's $100.
Because somebody's going,
or just hammer, like gang, gang, gang. I'm like, who does this? But I remember I did a set at Stitches, and some guy came up to me, and I was like, that guy. Like that was the most awkward thing about watching the documentary was. Outside of all the grief and everything else and seeing myself as this weirdo that I am, because I don't really think I'm a weirdo. But when you watch me walking around my house, talking to my cats and making pie crust, and you're like, the fuck is this guy's life? But whatever.
Yeah.
But the footage of me doing comedy in the 80s, I was like, oh my God, why did I even let them use that? Just this fake, this swagger that I thought had weight to it. And it was just like a kid going like, hey man, I'm the real deal.
Yeah, which is nothing behind it though.
It just insecurity.
Yeah.
But I remember I did a set, and there was a moment, where I remember Bridget Potter, who was a big deal at NBC. Because I never knew, like I had no character, like, and people would see me in a certain way and go like, I think you'd be good for this. I'm like, all right, And she thought that I'd be good at a talk show. And I remember she brings me into the big guy. Who's the big guy at NBC? Not Tartikoff, but the next guy.
Warren.
No, it was another guy. It was like interim. It was, I think it was around the time that SNL when Lorne was gone. Whoever was head of it then, I can't remember that.
Was it a
name.
Dick? Dick
Yeah, I think it
Ebersol?
might be him.
Okay.
Or somebody of that ilk where, Bridget is going to, facilitate this meeting to pitch me for a talk show.
Okay. Yeah.
And, we're in the office and Bridget's there and, and he's like, I wish I remember who it was. But he's like, so this talk show, how do you see it? Like, what do you, like some of the things, the topics that you want to talk about? I'm like, AIDS, abortion. And we walked out of that meeting and Bridget's like, I think that was a little strong. But that's just who I was. There's that other time where the audition where I just didn't understand it, dude. Like, I got up to I auditioned for something. It was some project where it was a behind the scenes at a music video network. And I played the angry kind of boss guy. And I'd somehow gotten into the, past the audition process to where you got to do it for studio execs.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember I had no experience with it or no control over my instrument.
Yeah.
And the casting director says, just go in there. I'm like, but you want, I'm going to be angry. She's like, yeah, lean into it. And I'm like, all right.
Oh no. It's like.
So I went in there. I don't even know what I did, but I just unloaded like a lifetime's worth of anger. Like she said, lean into it.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
And I did this thing, and the look of just shock, just like people, just shy of call security, And I walked out of there. I'm like, I did it right. She's like, yeah. It's fucking crazy. But I got off stage once at Stitches, and the guy goes, he comes up to me. I don't remember. He's a journalist in town. He goes, "Why comedy?" And then at some point, years later, Kerry Huffman from Stand Up New York, went out of his way to pull me aside and go, comedy's really not about what you're doing anymore. And I'm like, what does that even fucking mean? So I realized when I went to John Mulaney's birthday party, and that was there was Lorne showed up. It's Peretti, it's Kroll, it's Dan Levy, it's just all these Conan was there, and they're all just talking about how their agent and their lawyer and how they chose them, and they all sort of knew who the guys were. I'm like, how do you I'm not even sure I know my lawyer's whole name, but. So there was no calculation to it. It's just I believed that, in stand-up comedy, to speak your mind, that was the end of it. So to this day, I've learned how to behave a little better.
Sure.
But even with but I don't care anymore because I did it my way and I did all right. Even with Stick, they're going to shoot a second season.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can't shoot in Vancouver. And I don't want to go anywhere. For months,
yeah,
and pretend like it's not horrendous.
Yeah.
Vancouver was pretty, and I like Canada, but I'm kind of a loner kind of guy. I'm not going to go out and party and just wandering around this alien city for months, trying to keep your shit together.
Yeah.
So I texted the showrunner of Stick, and I said, just out of nowhere, I said, I will be miserable in Atlanta and probably a real problem on set.
Probably is the funny word.
Yeah.
The funniest word in that.
And then he says, maybe try having a little more control over your emotions. Being miserable is a choice. And I said, it's a livelihood. You don't want me to reel in my creativity. And then I backpedaled.
Yeah.
But
they wouldn't green screen you in on that from your driveway.
Just please.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But so I never really had a grasp of show business, but I'm trying to focus, when I do get the job to act, I focus on the acting, but yeah, I'm gracious.
Yeah.
But in terms of operating within it, never had a fucking clue.
Yeah. You are one of the only people I know that it seems like just a little bit of validation in terms of this line of work. You let go at a certain layer of things.
Yeah.
Just so many people's like, oh, if I was only could get some success, then everything would be better.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I'm not saying everything was better,
Yeah.
but it clearly meant something to you to get validated by this, because you were really in a lower, like a fallow stretch, and then the podcast kind of.
Yeah, I don't like how much I need validation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's directly traceable to like however I was brought up. But I do like, look, there are people like you, and like people misread me all the time. Like, he's intense.
Yeah.
He's intimidating. He's snobby. He's an asshole or whatever. But the guys who instinctively can see right through whatever all this is, I love them. And it's a lot of them are comics. They're just people that no matter what I'm like walking around doing, they can disarm it. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, because it's hard carrying that shit around all the time.
No, and you could not be that person all the time either.
And I don't think I am. Mostly just, worked up about bullshit and thinking about myself. And, I guess I am a little, not snobby, but a little judgmental. But in terms of validation, I kind of, I do crave it. And it does mean something to me. Like, I'm not one of these people where it's sort of like, hey, I don't care what anybody thinks. I act the way I act because I don't know how to act any other way.
Yeah.
So it seems like I don't care. But like, I really believe that even in my most heinous periods, that I'm like, that deserves some attention.
Yeah.
That, the way I just alienated all those people. I mean, that's a talent. Then I should be, heralded for it.
Well, look, I think I mean that as nothing but a positive thing, honestly, because really it's just like, it's nice to see that just like, a little bit of success, and Mark exhaled a little bit.
Oh, I think so. But like the other day I had this moment in front of my house where, and this sounds a little, it's a little psychobabbly, but I really do think that I've insulated, my inner child pretty well. That, wherever I stopped growing emotionally because of, the pain was too great, I kind of locked that guy up,
Okay. But he's still in
I
there.
wrote that line, like the monster I created to protect my inner child is a little hard to manage sometimes. But lately, like I'm craving integration, and I'm craving that part of me to sort of step up and grow up. That there's a vulnerability there that is encased in a pretty solid structure. So you're not going to get hurt like you were when you were younger.
So you don't have to compartmentalize to the degree.
But like I realized, like how fully sort of, realized and how like intact the inner child is. Because I was just standing in front of my house, and there's a very big part of me that was just sort of like, how did we even do this? We don't know how to do this. How is this your house? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I can't let you take over because there are responsibilities at hand. You can't just walk around going like, this is crazy. How do you even do you have people you call to fix things? I do. Yeah. I'll introduce you to them.
With the special, how do you know when does the bigger picture reveal itself when you're putting these things together? Because you're doing 10, 15 minutes at a time working on specific material, but you have a lot of plates spinning.
I think the way I do it really is I have a bunch of loose ideas and I force myself into a corner by, taking, a month's worth of, weekly gigs at some place like Dynasty or whatever for, a reasonable ticket price with the, with the audience knowing that like I'm just working out shit.
Yeah.
And it's not even written really. So by forcing myself into that situation, it forces me to try to be funny with these ideas, because I don't do it the safe way where it's like, all right, these are the beats. That's long down the line, and this stuff has to sort of evolve out of my conversations with the audience and doing it on stage. Like I literally corner myself. Like if I'm a funny guy, I've got a funny enough idea. So like at the end of that idea, and I get the little laugh, then there's a part of me that's going to want to be more funny. and that's when the stuff is delivered.
Okay.
That's the delivery system. I pull it out of the sky in a moment of like, I don't know, what am I fucking doing? Like, I don't know where this goes. And, and then it's given to me. And it's not a reliable way to do it, but it's the way I do it through improvisation. So what ultimately happens is by the time I get the special, so then I know that that's on the horizon, and I've got 45 minutes, an hour, and then I tour, and then it builds out to hour and a half, hour 45, and so like a few weeks before, and I keep everything pretty fluid, but a few weeks before the special, I'm like, all right, you're enjoying this callback thing. That's a fun trick to play on audiences. For some reason, they're always impressed, almost like you've pulled a rabbit out of a fucking house when a hat when you reference the previous joke. It's like, oh, that's from the other.
Yeah.
Like, so I like to have some of those in there, and I like it to have a through line. But so 3 weeks before, I'll just start compressing it. Take out the fat. Take out the redundancies, take out stuff you think other people, could have or do. Find if there's a through line. And it seems that there's a structure to them, the last three, where you get into the present with the politics or cultural stuff. And then, you move into some other world, of, more personal stuff. And then you kind of land in the riskier, deeper personal stuff.
Do you feel like you have a checklist, even if it's not an active thing, like subconsciously, I need X amount of this, X amount of that, that adds up to a solid.
Just happens.
Okay.
But I knew in this one, and I also know, like, I'm able to see where I come from as a comic in these last few. Like, I know what is an homage to the people that most influence me. It's sort of subtextual in me, but I feel it, and there is certain things that I do need, like I feel a responsibility to honor. That was the point in the special this time, where when I say, like, look, I have no answers here after I've kind of gone through the arc of taking progressives to task, but taking for their own thing, but as one of them, which was kind of an amazing thing. The laughs I got from busting their balls.
Yeah.
And then like do the hardcore political stuff. But then there's a moment where I'm like, I got no answers, but I think people want entertainment.
Yeah.
And I didn't get into it for that. But I've been doing this a long time. So I think I can be entertaining.
Yeah.
And then like once that cat story into the rat story became structurally sound, I'm like, this is just a laugh per minute thing for me.
Okay.
And there's no one who's going to be like, I'm offended about how we talked about his cats.
Yeah. Well.
So like, it was just sort of like, this is the meat. This is like, here's your entertainment. And then after that, now we're going to go into dementia.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go into like my problems with intimacy. So, but the weirdest thing about it for me in this special was like, I'm old school. Like, you do a special, it's an hour.
Yeah.
We do hours here. Where do you live? What is the 34-minute special shot at the Comedy Cellar? That's not a special. That's a pretty strong feature.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is like, so nothing special anymore. So to me, having the opportunity to do it with HBO, which was the thing to do when I was a kid.
Oh my God.
When I'm starting out, that was the thing. HBO hour, HBO special, you do an hour.
Absolutely.
That's what you're working towards. And even in the gig, you're a headliner, you do an hour. Like, what is this fucking 35 minutes?
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, and then the whole algorithm thing, it's like, well, we have found, like, what have you have found based on people, like, clicking away from something they don't like? You've decided that all people can't pay attention? What the fuck is wrong with you? And we're all abiding by this? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who are we working for? Anyway, so HBO has been very supportive. And, it is special. Like with this one, I'm of the belief that it's like you can't really reinvent the comedy special. But between the last one and this one, Mark Janowitz, the production designer, and Fine Arts, the director, it was like I became like, I was supposed to do it at Town Hall, which I love, but like I wanted a smaller thing. I'm good with 800, 900 people.
Yeah.
That's where I can, keep them in here without changing my timing because I got to wait to see if the back likes it. Fuck that.
Yeah, for this, literally for the sound to reach them.
And we went to the Harvey, the BAM Harvey in Brooklyn because I was like, find an 800, 900 seater in New York. There's got to be one. And that's the place. So we go there and I'm like, oh my God, this place is the magic because it's like an old vaudeville theater, 100+ years old. They haven't renovated it. So it's just sort of maintained in kind of almost like a ruin state.
Yeah.
And there's this back wall. We went there, it was empty. And there's a back wall of the theater where I'm like, oh my God, that back wall looks like a Rothko painting.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that has to be the whole special. I was like, this has to be it. And that back wall with the history that is just on it from faded paint, from productions 90 years ago, whatever. And I'm like, that has to be there. And then like there was no stage. It's just a floor just goes to the front row of audiences. And I felt like that's a little awkward, but I think it's going to work. But ultimately we did build a platform. But I was with Janowitz, the production designer. And I said, what are you thinking? And he goes, Kensuke. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
So I Google Kensuke, and it's the ancient Japanese art of restoring broken ceramic pieces with gold. And I'm like, that's what you're thinking? And he's like, yeah, you see it? And I'm like, I no, but if you do, run with that.
No, you showed me a picture, like a still of it a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it just it was really impressive to see that this presented itself. This was not a mounted picture or a backdrop.
Yeah.
This is actually the room.
Yeah. And then with the Kintsugi lines, on the carpet of the stage, and then the lighting, he integrated all that, but he saw it in me. He said, this is restorative. You're a broken man. All right, take it easy. But he didn't say that, but
Yeah.
And I'm like, I fucking love it. And it's the production design that you don't really pay attention to that. Some guys try to do tricks where they're like, just have no stage and you can see guys waiting in the back.
Yeah.
All right, Spike Jonze.
Yeah,
but this is like a theatrical thing, right? And the thing that resonates with me in that is that, no one's going to know that. But does that matter to lean on the poetry of it? Like, they know it because I told them. But when I interviewed that guy, Pietro Rodrigo, is that his name, the cinematographer?
Okay.
I always forget his name, from Killers of the Flower Moon. What is his name? Is there a producer that
Somebody
can do
else
that?
spit it out here.
He was the cinematographer, I think, on Barbie and on Killers of a Flower Moon. And I always screw up his name. He's a Mexican guy, which is not important to the story. But
Rodrigo Prieto.
yeah, Pietro.
Prieta. Yeah.
Prieta, yeah. And we're talking about cinematography. And he's talking about like how in the Killers of the Flower Moon, he used different lenses for the natives and different lenses for the white people. And the white people tint was based on this colorization process from the turn of the century that they used on black and white photographs. And he thought that would represent colonialism. And I'm like, what the fuck? I got to see that movie again.
That was deep.
Well, but it's all deep with those guys.
Yeah.
And, they put all this work into the depth of creating the palette and, the color palette and the intention behind it. And, we watch that movie and we walk out going like, that's all right. And it's like, and so like, there's a depth to it that whether it reads or not, who cares?
Yeah.
That's why that guy's a genius.
Yeah.
So the idea of Kintsugi, I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. And it did work, and it looks different.
Yeah. But one of the trickiest things is to cool and funny are two opposing concepts, I believe. You can't like cool is finite.
Yeah.
And it will if you're funny, if you're a comedian and cool is your calling card, the expiration date has been stamped on your forehead and will run out. Having a set look amazing and not funny, but just be beautiful and powerful. Yeah. But for you to be able to work within that and do everything you want and need to do to have a funny, successful special, like that's threading a very fine needle.